This pilot is about to fulfill a childhood dream. This is a Hawk T Mark I. It's known as the MG of the Air Force. It flies faster than the speed of sound. And this pilot has never flown it before. This is the story of a year in the life of a group of pilots as they try to fulfill their ultimate dream. Richard Fawkes read mechanical engineering at Nottingham University. He wants to fly the Tornado F3. Matt Fleet trained as a boots optician. He wants to fly the Eurofighter. Mark Baker spent 6 months travelling in South America before joining the RAF. He hopes to fly the Tornado GR4. Lewis Cunningham studied literature and taught in Namibia before joining the RAF. Squadron leader Dave McBride has been an RAF navigator for 18 years. He doesn't care what he flies, he just wants to be a pilot. This is the first day of a gruelling year at No. 4 Flying Training School, RAF Valley, on the west coast of Anglesey. Every fast jet pilot in Britain must spend a year in Wales, training, training, training.
They tend to send the best guys to fast jets, and you want to be one of the best guys.
Good morning, gentlemen. Please sit down. Well, good morning, and very, very warm welcome both to Valley and, of course, to 208 Squadron.
It's the adrenaline, the exhilaration of flying by yourself or possibly just with one guy in the back. Very agile aircraft, very fast, very capable. You're the weapons. You're the infantryman in the sky.
It's got to be the excitement of it, the rush, when everyone's seen jets flying through the valleys. I saw that all the time and just thought, wow, I want to be doing that. That looks like the best job in the world.
Tends not to be used in modern society.
Ahead of them lies months of hard work in what is nicknamed the pilot factory.
We're running at 100% on everything that we do.
Only 1 in 40 pilots makes it to fast jet training. To get this far, they have already excelled, but now they're about to be pushed to their limits.
All the maps are colour-coded to confuse you, OK? So
There are 2 squadrons based at Valley. At 208, they learn to fly the jet. At 19 Squadron, they're trained to use it as a weapon. The pilots have to pass through both squadrons to make it to the front line. This is the first time in 25 years that cameras have been allowed in to film the course at Valley.
208 is the busiest fast jet squadron in the Air Force. At the moment, we're putting up 68 sorties a day on the one squadron. Today is the start of teaching you to take an aircraft as a weapon and go out and kill somebody with it. Now, that's a hard thing to think about for some guys sometimes, and some people might not have thought about that very carefully. If you haven't, give it some thought, because that's the way we go about business. The pace of flying here is intense, and you'll get to the squadron and you'll find that out fairly quickly. We are here to get you through here, to get you out the other side, through 19 Squadron and onto the fast jet front line. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Quite a hefty piece of equipment. It's air-cooled.
Before they get their hands on a jet, they have to get through ground school.
The actual spin itself and the bullet on the front.
6 weeks of combustion rates, pressure differentials, stress limitations, voltage parameters, topped off with a written exam.
Drops. You need to get this rat out, the ram air turbine, out into the air.
Up until this point, these pilots have only flown the Tucano. The jump they now have to make from propeller aeroplane to a jet aircraft is immense.
How are you finding your first day?
Not too daunting yet.
Quite excited, after seeing the aircraft close up.
Yeah.
Especially compared to the little propeller one next to it. Yeah, it's a huge beast of an aircraft. It looks really fun.
Above us yesterday, they just said it's an incredible aircraft to fly, so much more capable than anything we've done before.
Have you been in a fast jet before, Mark?
No, I'm the only one here who's never flown a fast jet. So, 5 weeks' time, being my first time. Looking forward to it.
Hello and welcome to the BBC's news at 1 o'clock. Diplomatic moves are intensifying at the United Nations as the Security Council tries to reach agreement on Iraq.
It takes 4 years of hard graft and over £1 million for each raw recruit to be turned into a fast jet pilot ready for the front line.
24. Would it be reading 20? Or would it be reading
right now,
slightly above the
we
average?
are preparing the young pilots who are going to be leading our service potentially in the next 10, 20, 30 years. So the importance of the job that we do here at Valley is absolute.
Fantastic bit of kit, this. When they built
The job we're asking these people to do does require intelligence, requires judgment, strength of character, purpose. Those are all sort of the personnel attributes that I really want to see in the pilots that I'm progressing through here.
slide them along these.
The day begins at 8 in the morning and goes on late into the night. For the first few weeks, the pilots spend hours with their cardboard cockpits, simply learning the drills for switching the engine on.
Top Gun was quite a glamorous movie, but there's a side to it that's not as glamorous in that when we finish work at 5 o'clock, we come back to our rooms and we sit in front of our cardboard cockpits and we do checks, we learn emergencies, we plan for the next sortie. So in that respect, no, it's not glamorous.
I don't know what other people think of military aviation. Do they consider it glamorous? Perhaps they do, but I'm in it for maybe a deeper reason than glamour, I think.
With strong winds blowing from the south, ferry sailings from Holyhead are cancelled. But that's exactly where the pilots are heading for a sea drill.
If any windsurfer comes past me, give me a bit of that.
Rich Fawkes was brought up in London and joined the RAF when he was 21.
It's a fun job, certainly for me, because it is both physical and mentally taxing. You've obviously got to be fit, you've got to keep your level of health fairly high, but at the same time, mentally, it's going to be very, very hard work. You've got a lot of things to think about.
Okay? You've got to get this squared away in your head. The next time you need it, might be the real thing, okay?
I always knew I wasn't going to be one who's going to be able to sit in an office and work the 9 to 5 day, and this is, I think, the ideal job.
Right, so it's going to do, okay?
Wearing the full flying suit and still strapped into a parachute harness, they're dragged through the water as though the parachute is caught in the swell.
Slower, yeah?
Yeah, a little wee bit, yeah. We practice this in the swimming pool. We're not out here in the elements. Yeah. It's a little bit different.
They say it's sea state 5.
I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know if that's a lot or a little.
It looks quite rough to me.
Sea state 5 is the worst sea condition that they can safely practice the drills in.
Okay, time.
If a pilot ejects, part of the seat comes with them, and inside is their survival dinghy. Mark Baker has to disentangle himself from the harness and parachute. Then his dinghy should inflate automatically. The reason for doing these drills soon becomes apparent when Mark's dinghy fails to inflate. He has no option but to try to get in and then inflate it manually from the inside. After a brief struggle, Mark gets inside his dinghy and blows it up himself. Next up, Rich Fawkes.
It is definitely more than a job. A job you can pretty much stop thinking about at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock when you leave the office. Certainly with this one, you can never really stop. The work itself continues, and you leave the squadron at whatever time, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, you go home and you'll continue to work all night, and you'll certainly be thinking about what you're doing. I think the very fact that you have to move with the job, you live with the people you work with, definitely does make it's more of a way of life.
We've known each other for a year and 4 months, and we've all got on, not only on a professional basis, but you have to gel. It takes a certain type of person to do what we're doing, not the actual flying side, but the whole social side, because you're living with each other every day. You never get away from each other. We all go and eat together in the mess. We all go and have a drink together in the bar, talk about what you've done that particular day. And if you didn't get on with people, then it would be a hellhole.
Rescuing the pilots from the water is a Sea King helicopter from 22 Squadron. All RAF search and rescue personnel are trained at a special unit based at RAF Valley. Today's exercise is as much practice for them as it is for the pilots in the water. And Rich, most of the pilots who go through Valley are in their early 20s.
Level 1 starts with a triple bleed after the 5-second countdown.
But in this group, there is one exception. At 38, a squadron leader and Gulf War veteran with 18 years' experience as a navigator, Dave McBride outranks most of the people who will teach him to fly.
Why do you want it so badly?
Difficult one to explain. It's probably, I mean, part of it is definitely the serving the country bit, and that
you were serving the country in the back, though.
Oh, I know, but to me, that the front seat was where I always wanted to be, and back seat, and the other navs will hate me for this, in my mind was always second rate to me. I'd always be, in my mind, a slight failure if I never made it into the front seat.
Throughout his time in the RAF, he constantly applied for fast jet pilot training without success. At 38, Dave was due to leave the service and resigned himself to a future as an airline pilot.
Yeah, cab driver, taking people on holiday. Not the same thing as flying around at 500-600 knots. Going to war, upside down, low level, all those things, just not the same. But in my mind, I had something to prove to me that I could do it. I also had to prove to an awful lot of other people that over the years had said, oh, well, you'll never make it, you might as well just accept it, you're going to be a nav. I said, no, and I said to all of them all the way through, you're wrong.
Level 7-4, 35 to 39 is finishing on this line.
Why are you stopping, Dave?
That's the requirement for me, 38. So the lowest of them all, and the younger they are, the more they have to do. So bonus for being old for once. It's very different from when I was young. Things have changed, the sort of values, mobile phones, texting everybody every 2 seconds, all that sort of thing. So it is quite different. So yeah, but it's good. It's like buying a puppy for an older dog, and it makes me feel younger, so yeah, it's good.
Take a chop. Yeah, be good. Land on figurines, take a chop.
Matt Fleet grew up in Grimsby, and as soon as he was old enough, joined the Air Cadets.
As a teenager, where I was from, there wasn't really a lot else to do. In the evenings, you could choose to go and hang around on street corners and drink your bottle of Mad Dog 2020 or whatever it was that teenagers did, or you could go down and join a youth club, which was just an extension really of drinking on a street corner. So I decided I wanted to actually do something with my teenage years, so I joined the Air Cadets, and it meant I could represent a team at sport. I could get flying for free. I got a uniform, so I had some sense of achievement. You know, the wiry stuff hangs off the bottle, the string hangs off the back. I signed on for 18 years, so I think that's, well, there's prison sentences that are less than that, which is one way of looking at it, but no, 18 years I've signed on for, so I'd say that was a pretty permanent career. As it's what I've wanted to do since I was 7, then I was more than happy to sign on the dotted line for 18 years.
Today, Matt gets his first chance to fly a jet. But it's not a real one, it's a virtual jet in Valley's state-of-the-art flight simulator.
It's basically just a familiarisation, get to go through all of the checks, get to learn the new environment. We've come from this car now, we're now sat in a whole new cockpit, all new dials, switches, knobs to press. But they all need to be pressed in the right order, so this is sort of the first one, go and press them in the right order. And have a look at the local area through the simulator. It's a bit like a PC computer game in a way, so you can learn all about the local area and have a look, see what Valley looks like from here.
To achieve his childhood dream, Matt, like all the other pilots, has to live, eat and breathe fast jets. There's little room for anything else, even a love life.
Because the job is so intense, every weekend will not be available to travel home. There will be work to do, there's checks to learn, there's sorties to read up for, etc., missions to plan. So, unfortunately, there was no contest when it came to the job that I've wanted to do since I was 7, or a girlfriend that I've been going out with for 3 years, and the job won.
Encased in a metal sphere, the simulator is the only one of its kind in Britain. It cost over £18 million to build and contains a fully working Hawk cockpit. The 360-degree graphics replicate the experience of flying so realistically that even the Red Arrows come to Valley to train on it. The controllers who guide the pilots through the sortie are all ex-RAF instructors with a wealth of knowledge to pass on to the youngsters.
Oh, you're breathing heavily already. Excitement hasn't started yet.
No signal from the caravan. There you go. Straight rudder on brake initially.
Even though he's flying a virtual jet, this first takeoff is a dream come true for Matt. The pilots can fly anywhere in Wales. The computer holds detailed 3-dimensional maps of the entire country, complete with hills, rivers, bridges and towns.
Just climb slightly now, just a gentle climb. If you look further left, you'll see the bridges, and obviously the straights going underneath the bridges there.
After flying down the Menai Strait, he heads back to Valley. Then Matt turns south over the Llŷn Peninsula at 500 miles per hour.
You need a lot of bank and you need a pull to get around the corner. So remember at 350 knots, you'll find on the next source that we need 60 degrees of bank. 200.
Okay, what we'll do now is turn round on the reciprocal, descend to into the bottom of the valley. Then you can do your, you can enjoy yourself for a few minutes. No level, so go right. Keep coming right, keep coming right, right. That's the boy. Okay, roll out there, follow it around to the left. Quite hard work, isn't it? You've actually got the G pulling on you as well. Not too low, you're getting very low there. Up a bit, up. That's it.
That was good fun, yeah. It was quite hard work getting used to the speed and everything in the airplane, but no, it was really good fun. It's good to see the local area at low level and stuff. Really enjoyed it.
What have they got ahead of them now then?
Oh, steep hill.
I authenticate India, Magic 72, Hawk 3, authenticate Charlie 04. Hawk 3, I authenticate Delta, stand by for brief.
Operation Hawkeye. 4 cold, wet, tiring days for the pilots in the hills above Betws-y-Coed.
We've been carrying out airstrikes against some major...
Here they learn the techniques of survival and evasion if they're shot down in enemy territory.
We've been shot down by a SAM-10. We've been carrying out medium-level paveway 3 attacks.
In modern warfare, the fighter pilots are the frontline troops. They go in first. Being shot down and captured is a real threat. Operation Hawkeye tries to simulate this experience. Amongst the smiling first-day photos at Valley is John Peters. He was shot down and captured in the 1991 Gulf War. The pilots know that this is not a game. It could save their lives.
Do you ever imagine having to do this for real? I like to think I'm not going to have to, but yeah, I mean, it's happened. Just watched a video before we came out, tornado down, about the crew in the Gulf who ejected. I don't think they had very much time of doing this before they were captured, unfortunately. But and the conditions they went into was just flat desert. None of this protection we've got.
They've already spent 1 wet night out in the hills. Now they split into 3 groups. 7.5 kilometres away under this stone is a map, and it's their job to find it. They must avoid being detected by the Hawkeye marshals who are acting as the hunter forces. Matt, Ian and Dave stumble from one patch of waterlogged bog to another. Their progress is slow and tiring, and 38-year-old Dave McBride is flagging.
Yeah. How far are we doing? Okay.
It's like walking through treacle at the moment.
You've done a K?
That's why my calf's cramping up.
Sure. We've done, yeah, just under a K. But we've got to carry on now, otherwise.
No, I know. But not through this, I'd rather.
Yeah.
It's like walking through porridge. That's why the Forestry Commission make tracks and footpaths and things. Unfortunately, that's where the enemy are waiting for us, so got to go all the way around. It is very hard work.
The second team is Rich and Mark. They decide that cover is more important than speed and plough through a dense forest. Each team carries a GPS tracking system which uses satellites and can pinpoint their position within 10 metres.
Right, this is the moment of truth. I found if you've been walking in the wrong direction for the last
checking on this. See whether it picks up any satellites. Yep. Yeah. 4K to go.
So we've done what?
About 600 metres. Only another 4,000.
The third team, Lewis and Damien, make good progress by moving over higher ground. They get near the target and hole up. From their vantage position, they can see without being seen by the enemy. They plan to risk walking up the road to get to the rendezvous.
Puts play to your walking along the road idea, doesn't it?
Yeah, Magic 7-2, Hawk 3, authenticate, Charlie 04.
Right on cue, having avoided detection, all 3 teams take the maps. Marked on them is a grid reference which they must reach by nightfall for evacuation. It's only 1.5 kilometres as the crow flies, but moving covertly, that's more like 7. They all made it to the rendezvous by nightfall. It's quite a challenge. The pilots have already been on the move for over 12 hours. They think the helicopter is taking them to safety, but dealing with the unexpected is the point of Operation Hawkeye. The helicopter lands near the site chosen to make camp for the night. Once again, they're under enemy attack. The pilots have no choice but to run into the darkness.
Yeah, we know where we're going, we just don't know where we are at the moment.
If moving in daylight is about speed, nighttime is about stealth.
I thought it was car headlights, but I think it was actually probably a big spotlight. Just came up over the road there. Okay. So go back. Yeah, we're going to go back and reassess, have another look at the map.
They finally reach safety and begin to set up camp. It's 10:30 and it's been a 15-hour day. But it's the shared experience of overcoming this hardship that drives the pilots together.
My stone walls out, very solid.
That's what I like about you, Foxy.
Absolutely nothing.
And humour is the key.
I think it comes under the Air Force umbrella of banter. It's all harmless fun. Because it can be such a stressful job and lifestyle, I suppose we hide behind it a little bit in a way, but if you weren't able to have a laugh, you weren't able to have a joke, sometimes it would be like hell. You need to have some sort of bit of banter with a friend, whatever takes the stress level down, at least one step has got to be worth it.
You want us to move, don't you?
Well, at some point.
So you can put your shelter up.
When it's convenient for yourself.
Well, it's never going to be
like
convenient.
about now. Trust me, it's convenient now.
It's here they begin to work as a team for the first time.
Can I use this spoon for my OT thing? And then you...
As you wash it, of course you can.
Of course you can, Malcolm.
Two weeks later, and the new pilots at RAF Valley have come to the end of ground school. Technical exams are over and they all pass. But ground school was the easy bit.
Excited? Yeah, looking forward to it. It's a little bit new at the moment. I've not done all this before.
Mark Baker has never flown in a jet. Before he begins to fly it for himself, he's taken for the ride of his life in a Hawk T Mark 1. Next on Combat Pilot, Lewis gets a face full of CS gas. Dave gets to fly a Hawk on his own. And we meet the lobster of failure.
You can find out more about the making of Combat Pilot and about Live for the RAF Valley recruits at bbc.co.uk/combatpilot.